I have learned so much from you, Nandita ma'am. Is there anything more that a layman user of the network needs to be aware of?
Definitely, Rajesh. There are more. The threat to the internet is endless. Let's first talk about viruses.
Viruses in the network. Can you please explain, ma'am?
Well, just like when we suffer from an illness due to viral infection, similarly, programs were created by various intruders into the network, which, when enters your system, may harm or disrupt the normal functioning. A computer virus is a malware which is designed to invade someone's personal system to disrupt the functioning. However, not all malware created are termed as viruses.
Why is it called a virus, Nandita ma'am?
Actually, the programs of this nature created by certain individuals was termed as viruses by an university research student, perhaps because computer virus spreads in the similar manner as a biological virus. However, there are variations to the opinion of how programs are called viruses. Many experts are of the opinion that virus stands for Vital Information Resource Under Siege. To truly know what a programmed virus is, you will need to know the very infrastructure of such programs.
Can you tell me how these viruses are created, Nandita ma'am?
Actually, these viruses are created and then mostly sent as an attachment to a program and propagates to someone's mail or system. Soon after these viruses reproduces itself by copying itself and inserting into the program or in the boot sector. All the viruses are made to target an executable file that you often use. This implies that the virus may be present in your system, but it actually cannot infect unless you run or open the executable file or the malicious program. A virus is not a self-contained or independent identity. In nature, it is like a parasite that depends upon attaching itself to other files. So, it is very important for us to be careful when someone sends a file or program to us, or even if you are forwarding it further to someone else. This is because it might be infected with a virus. It is a better idea not to click on an email which has an unknown attachment. It is more so when it has come from some unknown person and has an .exe extension. Means it is executable. Not only the virus can travel to you, sometimes you infect your system when you go to an infected website unknowingly or view advertisements on it.
So, it is better for us to not open a file from any unknown party.
Yes, Rajesh. Before clicking on any files from an unknown agency, better reconfirm yourself. These files may contain viruses which may harm your system.
Are all these viruses same in content, Nandita ma'am?
Actually, no. Rajesh, viruses are different by categories. Let me tell you about how viruses are grouped. There are millions of viruses present, and about 6 to 7 new viruses are found daily. Computer viruses are designed to damage the computer by damaging programs, deleting files, or reformatting the hard disk. Also, there are programs which are not designed to do any harm. Instead, they simply replicate themselves and announces their presence by using text, video, and audio messages, and therefore disturb the normal functioning of the system. In the same context, there are also many viruses which are bug-ridden. These bugs may lead to system crashes and data loss. There are no international standards for classifying the viruses, perhaps because of their rogue nature, and there are far too many parameters to group them into a few groups. Viruses as security threats have evolved over the past several decades and are continually changing. As per Symantec, a company involved in creating antivirus programs, there are 5 recognized types of viruses. They categorize these viruses as file infector viruses, boot sector viruses, master boot record viruses, multipartite viruses, and macro viruses. There are many other types of viruses. However, here we are attempting to know some of the major viruses only. As per the security community, it separates viruses into 2 groups based on how the virus infects other files after it executes.
So, ma'am, a virus in our system will always remain in it?
Actually, Rajesh, viruses are categorized differently. Some are residential and some are non-residential. A resident virus hides or loads itself into computer memory, which then allows it to infect any file that is run by the computer. It continues to run even after the infected file closes. Being loaded into memory, it does not need to be executed for it to infect other files. Rather, it activates whenever the operating system OS loads or operates a specific function. It is difficult to remove resident viruses as they have the ability to escape the notice of antivirus or any other anti-malware software. These viruses hide themselves in the RAM of the system. Removal of these viruses thus becomes very tricky. Resident viruses could also be subdivided into 2 additional categories: fast and slow infectors. Both these terms are rather self-explanatory. On the other hand, a non-resident virus does not store or execute itself from the computer memory and remains attached to the file. It infects other files only when the infected file runs. These are also referred to as executable viruses, meaning that they need to be executed before they can infect, unlike resident virus, which infect the moment of the operating system. Let us now see some other major trendsetter viruses. We will start with file-infecting virus. File-infecting virus, which, when enters a system, becomes active when the program carrying the virus is opened. Mostly, this type of viruses comes as an attachment to a program file, usually .com, .bin, .ovl, .drv or .exe. These programs infect files or saved data in the system. The next is overwriting virus. Overwriting virus is a program written with malicious intent, which, after infection, will effectively destroy the original program code of your computer system's file data, typically by overwriting data in the system's memory. Boot sector virus are viruses which are less common now, as today's devices rely less on physical storage media. It functions by copying code either to the boot sector on a floppy disk or the partition table on a hard drive. It infects the computer system. The virus is loaded into memory in the startup process. Once it is comfortable in system's memory, the virus will infect any disk inserted in the system. Examples of boot sector viruses are Form, Disk Killer, Michelangelo, and Stoned. After that comes the Master Boot Record virus. The Master Boot Record viruses, as it named, are actually memory resident viruses. They are responsible for infecting disks just like the boot sector viruses. However, they are different from the boot sector virus. They chiefly locate as codes in a different place. Some of the examples of master boot record infectors are Unashamed, NYB, and Anti-EXE. Multipartite viruses are also known as polypartite viruses. These viruses infect both the program files and boot records. Removal of these viruses is difficult, as if the boot area is cleaned and the files are not, the boot area will be reinfected again by these viruses. These multipartite viruses may again take control of the system by infecting and replicating themselves even after the infected files are cleaned. Examples of multipartite viruses include Emperor, Tequila, and Anthrax. Cluster viruses are another type of viruses which attacks systems in groups or clusters. If you find that every program on your PC is infected, then there is a chance your computer system is infected with this type of virus. Actually, this virus is only in one place on the system. It associates itself with the execution of programs by modifying directory table entries to ensure the virus itself will start when any program on the computer system is started. Experienced users can sometimes get around a cluster virus using the check disk utility and other elements of the operating system to diagnose and remove the virus. However, less savvy users can end up erasing vital program information through the use of operating system prompts.